Welcome to the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. Every week, you'll hear strategies for building your online service-based business your way. And now, here's your host, veteran freelancer, author, and TEDx speaker, Laura Briggs.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today because she is a fellow military spouse and a fellow freelancer, and we're working on a project together in my own business. So it was the perfect opportunity to highlight for you all how she started and grew her business really into an agency. So I'm going to have her introduce herself. Welcome to the show, Courtney.
Laura, thank you so much for having me. My name is Courtney Ross. I am the founder of Sawgrass Marketing. We are a full-service marketing agency that really specializes in supporting these luxury brands and experiences, specifically within the hospitality industry, because that's really what we're passionate about, this travel and leisure and work-life balance that we're able to create as freelance professionals. So a little bit about me. I am a Florida native and yes, fellow military spouse. My story to entrepreneurship is much like a love story. I met my husband, who is a Marine Corps pilot in Washington, D.C. I had just moved there after graduating college. I was working there for 5 years. I had that mentality that I was going to climb up the corporate ladder. I was working in these large nonprofits and I loved it. Then Eddie walked in and obviously my game plan for my career changed. We ended up getting engaged and we found out he was getting stationed in North Carolina. And lo and behold, the nonprofits were like, you can't work remotely. We want you here in DC. So I ended up submitting my resignation and moved down to North Carolina to be with my husband and started freelancing. I was freelancing probably for about 6 months before I decided to turn my kind of ad hoc freelance efforts into a real business. So in October of 2017, I registered Sawgrass Marketing as an LLC and really shifted my mindset to these kind of like one-off projects to really developing and building a company. I really saw the growth when we had these very large milestones in life. When we got married is when I founded the company. When we had our first daughter is when I hired my first team member. I realized that I can't do all of this, by myself. I needed to be able to take maternity leave and also be able to have our clients supported. So I decided it was time to expand. When I had my second daughter, we had 2 more team members join Sawgrass, and then we're now in Iwakuni, Japan. So once we transitioned overseas, I was very confident that the company was going to be taken care of because we have a full team stateside. I'm able to work some East Coast hours over here, which is kind of crazy managing 2 different time zones. But during this whole transition, we've rebranded, we've scaled, and we actually have kind of set up a very nice foundation so that our clients, in the US are happy and I'm able to be here with my husband and my family.
That's amazing. So how did you decide that you were going to need to scale your business by bringing in other team members? And how has it been different with this bigger team as opposed to when you were kind of doing a lot of things on your own?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I think I realized that I needed a team when I was responding to emails in the hospital ward right after I had my daughter. And I was like, 2 weeks probably isn't enough time to take maternity leave. Probably going to need just a little bit more time, not only for myself, but for my daughter, right? Yeah. So that's when I actually hired on Katie Ketchum. She's been with our team for, 3 years now. And I realized that delegating work not only supports the business and the client, but it supports me as well, right? I'm able to step out of the day-to-day, like, oh, have I posted that on social media? Have I responded to emails? And I'm able to look more long-term and see like, okay, where do I want my company to go? How do I want to grow? how can I support my clients better because I'm not as tactic focused, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you decide where that line is about where you need to be involved versus when it can just be completely handled by your team, essentially?
Sure. So what I love to do is I love to monetize my minutes. I like to look at where I'm spending my time. And if it's not contributing to my bottom line or the company's bottom line, I like to delegate it or I like to delete it. I really, really see like the future of Sawgrass means me focusing on where we're going in the next 5 years. I need to be talking with PR firms. I need to be talking with future clients. I need to be developing our 5-year strategy. All of that time that I spent on development helps feed and grow the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What are some of your favorite things that you have kept on your plate, even as you've grown an agency?
Oh man, I think, marketing is such a unique blend of analytics and creativity. So I love being able to step back into the data and see like, okay, what campaigns are working for our company? What's not working for our company? And diving into a little bit of design so that we can play around with new ideas and new strategies. And, I still get to test it all out. I'm still a marketing nerd at heart. I don't necessarily just have to go into business development all the time. I get to play around and run some campaigns for our company.
Wow, that's really cool. Do you feel like you market your business differently, knowing that it's an agency rather than just sort of a one-woman shop?
Absolutely. I think I feel a little bit more at ease to play around with different types of products and services. We actually just opened up the Sawgrass shop last year because we are able to expand out into these different, I'd say, levels of service. So somebody can come in and get a free download, or they can come in and get a custom brand. Having a team allows me to market and test these different types of services that I wouldn't be able to do by myself just because it would be, too much for one person to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you're running a business as an agency, what are some of the challenges that you experienced adding members to your team and repositioning it in this new way?
Hiring has, I didn't step into HR. So hiring is always unique because you really have to find somebody who has that passion and trust and believes in the vision that you have for your company. So there have been, some trial and error. And what I've found is that the people that are closest to you, that you've either had past relationships with or have had friends refer over to you, believe more in your company than somebody that you would find, let's say, like on LinkedIn or through a random job application. It's interesting. Katie Ketchum, actually, my first employee, was my babysitter growing up. So we've had a very long relationship, and she's seen, not only me grow up as a person, but me help grow the company. And that level of trust is just something that you really can't compare to somebody you hire on, from LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. When someone is invested in your business, either because they may know you in some way or you share a similar mission, vision, and values, there's so much more kind of involvement. I mean, as you were saying that, it made me think about two of the people who've been on my team the longest. Melissa's been my online business manager for 2 years now, and we really share a common passion of serving the military community. And Andrew is a virtual assistant I've worked with for, I think, 8 years now. And he is also an educator who has pivoted his entire career and still has this interest in serving teachers and in helping people learn. And I think when you share things like that, it's easier for those people to feel a stake in your business. So I think that's really smart, that even though no one's ever going to care about your business as much as you do, the people who do have some connection to you are going to care more than just your average person. And that can make for a bigger commitment. As you grew your business, how did you decide what to offer? Like, as you sort of shifted into this agency model where now you have more help, are your services only available in certain packages? Do you customize it based on the client? I'm just sort of curious how you're handling that sort of systems and pricing aspect of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely been trial and error. I'm not going to say that I got this perfect like from the get-go. And it definitely takes evaluating every year because as our team grows and changes, our costs change, right? So what I like to do is I like to look at our profit and loss sheet. I want to see where we're making money, where we're spending money, and what the ROI is from each service package. So as we've looked at expanding, into new markets, social media support is one that we've seen grow tremendously in popularity over the past couple of years. But I'm going to be completely honest and say it's one of our least profitable services because there's so much time that goes into social media management, developing the creative assets, the cost of scheduling platforms. There's very little ROI. So it is a service that we've considered, either increasing our price on or increasing different package options so that we're seeing more profitability from it, but our clients are also seeing more value from it. So there's definitely that fine-tuned tweaking that we have to stay on top of and continue and maintain every year.
Mm-hmm. I think that is really smart because I think a lot of times we can see all the different service options that are out there and we think something is in demand or could be profitable, or maybe it's an easy skill set that you have. But how often are you revisiting sort of your packages and your services to determine whether they're profitable or not? Because I don't think enough freelancers do this. And I'm curious about how you approach it and then really look at those numbers and sort of decide what to do next.
I'll say I'm probably not doing it as often as I should, but we are definitely doing it every year. So it's December. We're starting to think of 2022. Now is the time to start looking at, okay, where are we making money? Where are we losing money? How do we need to reposition ourselves? So in Q1, we are onboarding clients, not only, at the best package for them, but at the best package and pricing rate for our company's health as well.
Mm-hmm. And in order to even get all of that data, you have to be tracking things on your end too, right? So for example, like I think about my podcast a similar way. We talk on our team about this is the most expensive free piece of content we create. We are mindful of how much of Laura's time goes into the podcast, how much of the team's time producing it and managing the back end to make sure that guests are coordinated and the audio editing and all of that so that we can make a decision, even if it's not necessarily profitable, but for us to say, does this pay off in other ways? So what kinds of things are you tracking? Are you having your team track their time? Are you tracking client feedback on a service? I'm just sort of curious what you gather in that process of deciding how to tweak something or even possibly eliminate it.
Oh, absolutely. So our team and I actually just went through an exercise, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 months ago, where we tracked the level of effort for all the projects that we're working on today. So I asked for, our whole team to put in an estimate of how many hours they're spending on each client account and each task. That also helped us evaluate, the hard costs that we see in QuickBooks, right? Where we're saying like, okay, these are our actual expenses. These are our staffing expenses associated with the service. So we could get a real accurate number of what each, cost per service is.
Mm-hmm. I love that because I think sometimes things don't necessarily come up in the natural cadence of meetings or in the opening or closing of a project unless you specifically call it out or you ask people to estimate and kind of say, well, how long does this take? And not just that, but like, I like to ask people on my team, how much do you like doing this thing, right? Like my business manager, Melissa, has told me, I can manage your calendar. I really, really don't want to. So it's like, okay, that's good for me to know that like, this is either something I have to do myself or we need to hire another person, because if it makes you miserable, there isn't any benefit to me continuing to have that be something that is on your plate. So very smart. I think even if you don't run an agency type of freelance business, this is helpful for freelancers to think about. Sit down and kind of look at all of your projects and look at what were the months you were the busiest? What were the things that were easiest for you to sell? What were the projects that you had the easiest time to convert into a retainer? Who were the people you loved working with? What things kind of gave you joy and happiness in working on those projects? Because we can often boil things down to just money, like how much money came in,
Mhm.
how much money did we spend to make this happen or to bring that client in. But what you're talking about here is that there's really so much more that goes into deciding how to offer something and what it looks like. Do you one of the things that comes up a lot with freelancers is, well, how do you get these clients, right? Like it's not like your business just came to be and the next day you were fully booked with clients. How do you fit marketing into your schedule, being truly a business owner who's leading a team these days?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say it took us time. We've been in business since 2017, and over the past 2 years, I'd say, is when Sawgrass has really taken off. And I believe that's because, I actually put my mind really into focus and said, like, all right, if my husband ends up transitioning out of the military, if I need to have, a sole source of income for our family, I need to stop thinking about this like a hobby and really turn it into a business. And when I did that, I realized, like, okay, all of my focus cannot be on client accounts. It's what I love doing. It's what I've been comfortable doing for the past 10 years. Now I really need to focus on business development and growth. So I put myself down to a few exercises, right? I wanted to figure out who my ICA was, my ideal client avatar. So I imagined this person, who they are, where they live, what they're doing, what they wear. And I wanted to know, how do I speak to them? How do I find them? Where are they hanging out? Where are they talking? And my ICA, when I entered into this hospitality industry, was a short-term rental vacation owner. It's a property owner who has multiple vacation homes, probably along the coast, because that's where I love to travel. And what do they need? How do they need to market their property? And while I was doing this research, I found that there was no marketing agency that is supporting the short-term rental hospitality industry. There were no articles on Google about Airbnb branding. And so I said, this is what I want to do. I own a vacation rental on the coast of North Carolina. We've branded our property. I loved doing it, right? It wasn't just about the money. It wasn't about the opportunity in the market. It was something that I was really passionate about and that I knew personally. And so I started writing this article about how to brand an Airbnb. And I kid you not, maybe 3-4 days after I published the article, I was the top search result on Google. And since really we wrote that article, we shifted into the hospitality industry. We've been getting a whole lot more organic leads just from inbound marketing. Now, I'd say 80% of our client base is based on referral. We have that nice organic inbound traffic from Google and a few other marketing campaigns, but our clients really, really enjoy working with us and they love referring us to their friends. And that's something that I think marketing will never be able to replace, right? Is having that word of mouth, positive referral from people that you've worked with in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really smart that you talked about how you had a passion for something, because this idea of the vacation rental was something that was part of your life, but also you saw a gap in the market, because that's really a sweet spot for freelancers who are looking for a niche. And a lot of people say that their niche found them rather than the other way around. And that's ideal.
Right.
When you have something you're interested in, there's not enough information out there. You love working with people in that industry. And so sometimes freelancers can feel tempted to sort of force something. But I think you have a really good story here of something that you would have been interested in regardless. And it's just been really great for you as far as branding wise. Like you get that benefit of the organic search results recommending you to clients, but then you also have a solid referral pipeline. And that's something I tell freelancers all the time. You need to have at least 2 solid marketing methods that you could always lean into one or the other as needed. So I think that's amazing. You've done an awesome job getting your name out there, really establishing a brand that people have come to know, and so much experience in that niche as well. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where can listeners go to learn a little bit more about you and your business?
Absolutely. And Laura, again, thanks for having me. If listeners are interested in learning more about Sawgrass, you can visit us on our website. It's sawgrassmktg.com. We've got a full list of our services there, and you can follow us on Instagram as well. Our handle is at sawgrassmktg, and we'd be happy to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.